The Omaha Police Association had recently released a video that they found online of a black kid in diapers who was being yelled at and encouraged to also say profanities. The little boy also stuck up his middle finger, and what they did was basically make a point that this is part of the so-called thug cycle, that this is what these police officers have to deal with, and isn't it a shame that this kid has to grow up in this type of environment? Well, they got a lot of criticism for that. We covered it recently on the Young Turks show. Now I want to show you guys a little more of the video in its entirety, and I want to do an update on it because something has happened to that child and other children involved in this story. So let's first take a quick look at the video in question.
You a bitch, nigga.
You a bitch, nigga. Stop.
You throwing the fit right now, little nigga?
Tear up, you asshole.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Put that bitch ass nigga off.
You ain't talking that shit now, nigga. Fuck you too.
Say bitch. Some say suck my dick.
That's why you can't fight, pussy.
You a bitch.
I think it's really important to clarify something. Before we do that, though, I just want to mention that the infant and 3 other children have been detained by Child Protective Services. Now, when the Omaha Police Association, which is the union for the police officers in that area, posted that video, they had admitted that on its face, in and of itself, nothing illegal was shown in that video. Yelling profanities at a child, even though it's wrong and you absolutely should not do it, is not illegal. However, authorities did go in and investigate. Do I think that they should have investigated? Yes, I do. Apparently in the video they name a gang, and if you feel that this child might be in any type of danger, if you want to investigate it as Child Protective Services, you should be able to do it, right? Given the evidence that they had in that footage. But I don't know why they decided to detain the kids. They haven't released details about what they found. They might have found something that puts these kids in some sort of danger. So we have to wait and see what kind of details emerge from that. But I do want to, basically bring up the point that I made yesterday about how it's still wrong for that police union to post that video because it does push stereotypes. And the Omaha Police Department has dealt with many issues regarding racial profiling, which we'll get to in a second. But John, I want you to jump in for a sec.
Yeah, so I wasn't on the original video. This is my first chance to say that I absolutely despise it. I personally think that effectively, you have to be, to some extent, ruining the future chances of that child by teaching him that this is how you're supposed to address people, because no child of that age has the mental faculties to, like, no, that language isn't appropriate, I think I'm going to talk otherwise. No, they can't do that. Like, that is what he is being taught is normal and okay.
He's going
to have a much harder time in school, in his future career. It's awful. Now, as I'll go into a little bit later after our details, it's not the only form of childhood indoctrination that I find to be absolutely disgusting, but...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you were to take a look at the ways some parents raise their children, I mean, hideous things happen behind closed doors, which is why we don't detain kids for use of profanity by itself, right? But again, if the police officers felt that there was a threat there and they wanted to investigate it, I don't think that it's far-fetched for them to investigate it. I don't think it's wrong. To detain them, they need more evidence of wrongdoing. It can't just be because of profanity. And as I mentioned, we don't know why they detained these children at that point. Now, let's go to the racial profiling. If you put everything into context, the reason why it was wrong for that police union to put that video up is because, again, it's singling out one case. It's isolating one case, and it's perpetuating stereotypes about the black community. Now, the police department has had a history of racial profiling, and when you put all of that in context, it makes you question what the intentions were of the police union. So in March of 2013, there was a case involving a man by the name of Octavius Johnson. Apparently a tow truck was trying to tow his vehicle. He came outside of his home and he wanted to ask, like, what's going on? Why is this happening? Apparently they exchanged words and the tow truck driver called the authorities. Well, a cop arrived on the scene not knowing that someone in a home nearby was filming everything as it was taking place. The cop looked around to see if there was anyone there, and then he put Octavius Johnson in a chokehold and then pulled him to the ground and proceeded to punch him multiple times. Then 20 police officers arrived on the scene. Why do you need 20 police officers at this point, right? They proceeded to enter Octavius Johnson's home without a search warrant. His aunt was there in a wheelchair. They knocked her over. The wheelchair was on top of her. And other police officers went into the house, trampled all over her, and went after his brother and proceeded to beat him as well. Now, the ACLU filed charges against the police department, and as a result, 4 police officers were fired from their jobs, okay? And one police officer is facing felony charges because once they found out that someone had been filming this, they took the footage and they destroyed it. Or they attempted to destroy it, and that, of course, is tampering with evidence. So as a result, they have to follow these new rules and regulations to prevent racial profiling in the future. When you know that this case just recently happened, it's really irresponsible to single out one video, post it, and then say, hey, this is an example of thug culture. And listen to the wording there. Do you think thug culture is used with everyone? I mean, let's keep it real.
Yeah, no, when like a frat boy swears or something, they're not like, oh, you thug. No, I don't think they say that. They say bro at worst. Yeah, it was bad timing. I think it's horrible that they used the video. Totally unrelated, but it's horrible that the family wanted people to see the video, and so they willingly put it up. But yeah, I think if you watch that video and you don't think that they're scarring the child or hurting the child in some fundamental way, I think that that's ridiculous. You should be outraged in the same way that we are, and I'm glad that people are, because that shows a level of empathy and compassion that I think America needs more of. But you have to be consistent. You can't simply be mad at it when they're swearing or sticking up their middle finger or when it's a black family. Okay, when a family is teaching their child that every gay person is doomed to burn in hell for the rest of their life, or that once a woman has sex, if she's not married, she's now worthless, or if it's in a different religion and they teach them that, yeah, women should have their genitals mutilated. Like, there's a lot of bad things that you can indoctrinate a child into, and sometimes it's not a black family. Sometimes the family looks a lot like yours, and it shouldn't be any less outrageous.
How often do we do stories of children that have cancer or some sort of terminal illness, or not terminal illness, but some sort of illness that can be treated? They have some hope to live, or right? And their uber religious families don't want to take them to a doctor because they believe, hey, you know what? I can pray for my kid and he'll get better.
Yeah.
Right? That's actual child abuse that leads to death. Do those stories go viral? No, those stories don't go viral. But posts like this involving a diapered black kid for some reason get a lot of attention, and people love to pour on the hate toward, that particular community. So I think that's problematic, and to deny that race has absolutely nothing to do with this story is incredibly naive. So incredibly naive. Yeah. And if you look at the history of the police department and past instances of racial profiling, it's not far-fetched to think that race might have motivated their reasons for putting that up on the blog.